Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and I'm wondering, can you decorate your faith planner spread even if you've already written in it? Let's find out. All right, so I'm working on my faith planner spread for the first week of May, and it was a busy weekend last weekend, and I've already started writing because I've been doing my quiet time, but I did not have time to do all the decorating that I wanted to do. So it's Tuesday. I've already done my quiet time, but I do want to decorate my spread. I'm going to use this set from Emily B. Creates called Secret Place. It is from Illustrated Faith, and I printed it out on 32-pound bright white paper, so I'll do some fussy cutting with that. And then I've also pulled out, this is from 49 and Market. These are rub-on transfers and so fun to use in projects, so I cannot wait to use a few of these. I will link everything that I end up using down in the description box below. Let's see if I can decorate this spread after the fact. All right, I think this is a really important lesson to remember when you are mixing in your creativity and you're doing journaling and doing things like a faith planner. Don't let the decorating hold you back from the actual purpose of whatever it is you are doing. So, for instance, in my faith planner, this is what I use each morning when I sit down for my quiet time. I list out the scriptures I'm studying, I take notes. And it would have been relatively easy for me to think, well, I can't do that this morning because my page is not decorated yet. And that would have been the wrong order to do things. Sometimes you get a little bit behind on the creativity part, but that doesn't mean you have to get behind on the purpose of your faith planner or the purpose of a regular planner or a faith journal. You know, if you are taking notes, maybe doing daily prayers, and you enjoy decorating those pages, that is fantastic. But don't make that a prerequisite for doing the work behind the journaling, if that makes sense. So I do go ahead and write out my notes, have my daily quiet time, even if my page isn't decorated, and then I can always go back and do something after the fact. Sometimes it's really simple. Sometimes I'm still able to get more into the decorating later on during the week. It kind of depends on what the week looks like and how far in I've gotten, but I don't let it hold me back from the purpose of the actual planner. Now, in this case, I don't have too many notes yet. I've only done the first couple days of the week, and so I can still work with a lot of the area that is on the page. So I spent a lot of time fussy cutting these pieces from Emily B. I liked the really soft feel of these illustrations, and I thought the colors went well with the colors that were already in this particular faith planner. So I'm using the plum paper faith planner. And it already had colored pages. So this is like a kind of yellow color. So I'm trying to make sure that the printables that I use throughout the month match up with this in some way, so that's not fighting the different colors. So I'm just looking to see where I can put some of these different pieces. I always like to overlap my illustrations, my printables over the page. So you can see how I'm putting these two pages next to each other and then having that floral go across both pages. What that does is really connect and make it feel like it really was meant to all go together, like the full spread, instead of keeping them separate. All you have to do, have plenty of adhesive on the back of whatever piece you're using, and then put it over the overlap of the two pages when they're pushed right up next to each other like these two are. After you're done putting down all your paper pieces, you just cut the two pages apart and then re-punch the holes. And it creates a pretty cool look, something that I really like seeing in my faith journal or my faith planner when I open it up in the mornings. I tend to find balance on my faith planner spreads to be a little bit of a challenge because my priority is preserving the writing space. I don't want to cover up much of the writing space, so that limits me on where I can put decor. And I have a lot of space in the upper left hand, and I take advantage of it. I put a lot of decor up there, but balancing that out across the page can be challenging. One of the ways I generally do it is with a big chunk or a big piece in the bottom right hand corner, just to bring weight down to there and try to balance out the top left. Yes, that takes up room where I would normally write out the scriptures I'm studying. I just work around that for one day. Usually I will write the scriptures on that on top of where it says Sunday over that yellow line, and I'll just make it work for me. I also have a priority of when I'm working in my faith planner, I use materials that I can write on top of. So for instance, this particular week, I printed out these printables on 32-pound bright white paper. I can easily write on top of that so I can take notes over it if necessary. I often use clear sticker paper when I'm doing printables from Illustrated Faith, but I use the Mako brand clear sticker paper because you can write over the top of it, and that just gives me more room for notes and lets me kind of work around some of the images and incorporate them into the page a little bit more. Another thing I'm doing to bring a little bit of balance is when I have graphics at the bottom, like those mushrooms and that flower, I'm pulling them down and off the page so you still feel the weight of those images, but it's giving me room to write around them. And I have images running off the page frequently in my faith planner, and you'll see that happen in a couple more places as I work my way around the page, but it just brings a little bit of a balance to it without taking up too much writing room. And then always one of my favorite tips and tricks, when you cut off the edge of an image, save that edge and reuse it in another place like I did with that butterfly. Now it's over on the left, and then same thing with this flower. We're going to use the corner of it and bring it up to the top right. And now I'm feeling a little bit better about the distribution of the graphics and the images across the whole planner spread. Sometimes when you are using printables in your faith planner, they can look a little bit cold in a way, like they're not fully incorporated onto the page. And you can change that up in several different ways. Sometimes I use mixed media. Sometimes I put ink around the edges of the images. I use washi tape or tissue paper. There's lots of ways to do it. In this case, I'm going to use rub-ons. I feel like rub-ons are having a moment, you guys. I was so excited to visit the Scrapbook Expo and see so many different rub-on opportunities as far as using these in your pages. Because see, all you have to do, pull off the backing. I'm using a card this time, and I'm just you use it to scrape it on there. It's kind of like a temporary tattoo, but it gives the image a more organic feel because now it's coming onto the page and to the printable. Everything feels like it just goes a little bit easier. It softens edges. It just melts into the page. I'm just kind of in love with these rub-ons right now, and I'm so glad I was able to find a company like 49 and Market that has such a nice vintage look to their whole line, but to these particular pieces, because I think it lends itself really well to mixing and matching with some of the printables that I love to use, and then mixing and matching with the rest of the 49 and Market line. They just go together really well. Works well in junk journaling, works really well in planners because it doesn't add bulk to your page or to your overall planner. And you can see how it holds its own over top of those other printables and just creates a pretty darn cool look. See how it's like going over the top of those mushrooms? I think it's so neat. I'm very excited about it. Let me know, have you used them before? I know Illustrated Faith has been releasing them with their kits recently. Let me know if you've been using them, what you think of them. Are you scared of using them? Did you know how to use these rub-ons? Think of them kind of like clear stickers. You just have to transfer them a little bit more like you would a temporary tattoo, just not watered, just with the pressure of scraping it onto the page. Again, for balance purposes, I'm making sure that I'm including these blues in every place where there is a cluster of the printables. It just makes it feel like it was intentional across the page and that all of the printables were intentional. And I'm also looking for white spaces where it just feels a little bit unfinished. And I've always heard the phrase trapped white space, like white space that's trapped within some lines. And I don't really like trapped white space. So I'm going to see what I can include in different sections just to cover that up and incorporate it into the rest of the design. Once I finish with the last few little rub-on sections, this faith planner layout is going to be done. I am glad that I took the time to go back and do this layout to fill it in because I know it'll bring me joy as I'm opening up my faith planner for the rest of the week. I'm also thankful that I did go ahead and start my faith planning for the week and that I didn't delay it just because the decorative part wasn't done. I think it's easy to fall into that trap when you are a creative person and you feel like it should be decorated before you start writing. Don't put any of those rules on yourself. You know, decorate before, decorate after, do whatever works for you, but don't forget the purpose of why you were doing the faith planning in the first place. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. As always, I will link all of the supplies that I used down in the description box below, so you can feel free to check those out. I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. We're having a great time, especially this month of May. We are doing a ton of mixed media. So if you want to join us, learn a little bit more about mixed media, check out the link in the description box below. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.